Hey guys, welcome back to the monthly Deltarune video. If you don't know already, I've had an ongoing series for the last year ranking every song in Deltarune, and since the new chapters dropped 2 months ago, I finally finished ranking every song in Chapter 4. Chapter 4 of Deltarune, as I'm sure most of you know, is unimaginable peak and the best chapter in the entire game in almost every aspect. This includes the writing, bosses, narrative, and of course music. So out of all these videos, this one is easily going to be the most positive. Let's get right into it. This is every Deltarune Chapter 4 song ranked. What can I even say? This sound effect was already in chapters 1 and 2 when you try to make Chris play the piano, so I'm pretty sure Toby only added it here to troll. Obviously it's the worst song in chapter 4, but I still think it's really funny. We're just gonna completely skip the D tier in this video, I guess, because this is the only track in chapter 4 that isn't a C tier and above. It's really funny that Carol's leitmotif is just scary, ominous breathing with no melody to speak of. This scene really spooked me when I first played Deltarune, but I think the actual intention of this scene and song is just to make Carol come across as less scary and more just super intense, which fits really well. She isn't necessarily malicious yet, but is more just a really scary threat to both Susie and Noelle. Song is literally nothing though, but it fits Carol really well. C tier, cause, you know, more creepy ambience. I like this one a lot. It feels super strange and off. I really like the idea of this chapter having a ton of bells in it. Not much to say, it's definitely one of the less interesting songs from chapter 4, but I still think it's pretty neat. Atrium is used to introduce the dark road of chapter 4, mostly serving as an ambience track to sell you on the church vibes for this chapter. I hear a little bit of the dark truth from chapter 2 in here, which fits really well, since this clues you in that this chapter is going to have to do a lot more with the prophecy. This is a good ambience track and works as an introduction to what is as of now the most serious chapter in Deltarune. Even higher plays when you try to climb with the silly cups to reach the princess or Miss Mizzle. I think the cups are definitely one of the most forgettable parts of chapter 4. I think they're pretty funny and cute, but they really aren't the craziest NPCs, especially compared to everything else. This track is more of a goofy rendition of Dark Sanctuary, taking this beautiful song and attempting to give it a more exciting, goofy feeling. This song also uses the Titan leitmotif, which kind of makes sense since this section of the game kind of foreshadows the climbing section of the Titan fight. I don't think this song is really necessary since Dark Sanctuary on its own would already work, but it's still pretty fun. Knock You Down Rhythm version is a slight remix of Knock You Down for the rhythm games. Just for my brief thoughts on normal Knock You Down, I think it's good, but nothing crazy. The remix only really changes around the 50-second mark, and it's pretty slight. I don't know if this remix changes nearly enough to get its own track on the OST, but it's still Knock You Down, so it's around the same in quality. Ripple is used for the statue Gerson fight. It's really interesting how in Susie's Dark Road, Gerson ends up as a mangled corpse. I'm a big fan of the theory that this is caused by Susie's trust issues, causing her insecurities to manifest in Gerson. When I first played chapter 4, I didn't get the secret boss, so this was my first time actually seeing the green soul. And man, what an insane experience. I love the addition of the church bells ringing in the background for this song. It really feels like you're fighting some sort of biblical demon. Ripple is actually terrifying. I love how this is completely different from any other Gerson song. None of his leitmotifs are used here. We don't even know what this thing is, and the only thing we can go off of is the darkness. I do think Ripple is a little simple, but it does its job really well. I'm never listening to it again though. Sans. It's not the first song used in chapter 4, that goes to You Can Always Come Home, but Old Wooden Rafters is the first original song in chapter 4, and it also really follows up the general vibes You Can Always Come Home gives. This song really reminds me of Toriel, I'm not sure why, it's just very, very comforting and nice to listen to. This song also really establishes the general music of the Dark Road. A lot of the chapter 4 Dark Road songs go a lot harder, but this feels like a good blueprint. In the actual game, it was so satisfying getting to finally see the inside of the church. This area of the game is also a great introduction. We've got so many bangers, like 25% red, 75% yellow juice, banging sermon my man, that one funny gif of Chris and Susie drinking fruit punch, just so many great comedic moments. I think the song kind of acts to that comedic tone. This song feels very warm and comforting, but there's so many jokes jammed here. This really reminds me of Acid Lake of Love in chapter 2. The song shouldn't work, but it does. I don't think it has to be this long though, it can feel a little repetitive, but it's still quite good. Volume adjustment is used for the mic room. This is kind of just a slowed down version of Cat Swing, but it's still pretty good. I like how foreboding it feels. When I first got to the mic Mike room, I actually thought we were gonna meet Mike, so this super ominous music really works. Hey, look at that, another Don't Forget melody in these new chapters. That's cool. Hymn is used during the choir in the opening church cutscene of chapter 4, and I actually forgot about this, but this is actually a song with lyrics, just like chapter 3's Razorback. It's obviously nowhere near as good and doesn't really match up with the song, but it's still cool. It's awesome this chapter finally gave us an extension of the prophecy or Deltarune that was first shown in Undertale. In Undertale, what we got of the Deltarune was very short and brief, since Gerson seems to be the only character who remembered it. This song is very pretty and holds a lot of meaning that is further developed throughout the chapter, but it's still like only 30 seconds. Gingerbread House is used as the theme for Noel's house, also known as the section of Deltarune with an Among Us reference. Extremely joyous track, which is nice for this area and fits Noel really well. I really like how this song feels like an extreme opposite of Snowgrave. Again though, just like Girl Next Door, this feels like a front. During all the serious sections of Noel's home where we peel back her layers, the song fully disappears. I still don't think this track is Noel's theme and is more just the mask she puts on. I still like this song though, it's very silly and a much better version of Girl Next Door. This is where the game goes from amazing to unimaginable peak. 12 a.m. is used once you return back to the church. First of all, there's a lot of great dialogue here. Susie's piano story is really powerful, and the Gerson reveal is handled super well. Reading the letter he left behind to Alvin is super impactful. This song is very somber and feels more like a sad version of Wooden Rafters. Man, even though they're still ambience tracks, Toby really doesn't miss with these. They all sound so interesting. It's still chilling hearing Lost Girl's theme be revealed as Dess's theme. The distance between two refers to the fact that Us and Chris are disconnected, since this track plays when Us and Chris are separate. You can also read this title as Des and Noel being separated. This fits as a strong opposite to Gingerbread House, a sad, bitter, and lonely song. This is just Lost Girl slowed down though, but it's still Lost Girl, one of the best Deltarune songs, so I don't really care. Airwaves is used for the Batat minigame, where you can find friend and stuff. I really like this minigame. It's really funny the stuff from the Spamton sweepstakes ended up being in the game. This minigame is just slop, but that's obviously the joke, and it's still really fun to play. The freedom motif showing up here is really funny, and this is pretty much just a remix of Now's Your Chance to Be Out, which is nice. It's a very fun song. Heavy Footsteps is used for the night encounter in chapter 4, when they create a dark fountain inside a dark fountain. Can I just say that the cover art for Deltarune ending up being the creation of a titan is amazing? Also, the knight gets friends laugh, that's interesting. This really captures the absolute horror of the titan. The vocals really add to this. Also, the evolution of this track as it goes is so hard, an absolute jam. Oh, hi Gerson. This is the theme for the main character of chapter 4, Gerson Boom. This is so silly and goofy, which fits Gerson perfectly. The song itself is also great. I've always been a massive fan of the squeaking in the background. Plus, this has a perfect loop. A great theme for one of the new best characters in chapter 3 and 4. Dark Place plays during one of the best moments in Deltarune, when Susie and Rousey tank the knight's attacks to protect Chris. This scene is really emotional, but also functions as a great payoff, revealing that our soul is what shines in the dark, explaining the Don't Forget line. Dark Place is very similar to Dark Truth, being a more slowed down, beautiful version. This scene is super impactful, and Dark Place fits it perfectly. Hey, need a hand, I am motherfucking Gerson Boom. Sorry. Gerson showing up during the Titan fight has always felt a little strange, but it's still a cool twist, and I'm glad Gerson gets to go out with a bang, just completely wrecking the Titan. Need a Hand is a really exciting final remix of Gerson's theme. However, I do think Hammer of Justice fits this better. I don't think Need a Hand is anything crazy, but it's still great. I just think Hammer of Justice does it better. Crumbling Tower plays when you climb up to the Titan to reach it. I really like how all the Titan tracks have this intense build-up before turning into actual bangers. I'm a really big fan of the drums on this. They really add to that intensity. A lot of this song does feel like a sped-up version of Heavy Footsteps, but the new stuff added is enough to really justify this existing. And the sequence in general is great. I'm a really big fan of how you never actually see the Titan during this climbing scene. Guardian is still definitely a better version of this, but it's still great on its own. Spawn plays for the fights with the little babies the Titan creates. I love these fights a lot. The idea of TP being used to eliminate pure dark creatures is great. I really like how this song feels like a mini fight. It's super sped up and by far the Titan song that leans the most into just being intense. I also really like the ending. Massive fan of the added instruments. This track goes really hard. I just wish it was a little longer. Cat Swing is used for the mic fight, which I think is really good and fun. I like these 3 mics a lot. Also, the microphone mouse idea is really cool. This battle is basically just a ton of inside jokes making fun of Mike, Rook, Friend, and Friend Inside Me, obviously. I don't think there's anything crazy here, but it's still super consistent and fun, and that's all I really need for it to work super well. Plus, it uses Spamton's leitmotif. Once again, this is one of the best moments in all of Deltarune. Us getting a new surprise rendition of The Legend just for Toby to reveal the release date of chapter chapter 5 is just too good. I love how this was handled. It starts off slightly off, but as the song goes, the theme completely changes, which also perfectly matches the visuals of the game, with the traditional legend actually turning into the colors of the prophecy in chapter 4. This is just the final twist the game throws at you after like the other 10 twists. This is a new version of the menu music in Deltarune. I think this really works since the usual menu music for Deltarune beforehand was called Before the Story, and now we're halfway through the game, so we kinda get the same treatment as the menu music in Undertale, this now feeling more complete and intense. The song itself is also great. I love the impact of the bass, and the change in instruments towards the end is so effective at selling this grand story. This stuff really hits hard and sells the total shift in tone during this chapter. We are now in the second half of Deltarune, where stuff is about to get serious. Fireplace is kind of used for the hub world of chapter 4. I love this area. It's super cool that the Dark Road also leads into a medieval setting since Lord of the Hammer is translated over into the Dark Road. This area is really fun. It's a cool place to relax, and you get to see Gerson make SpongeBob references. Despite being peaceful, this track is honestly kind of hype. I get pumped for the next area listening to this. You can even hear some of the Dark Sanctuary motifs in the background. Speaking of motifs, we also get a lot out of Gerson's motif too. A lot of it comes back, but in a much more serious tone. This really showcases the more calm and wise side of Gerson. Just like Tenna in chapter 3, these character themes often reflect separate sides of the character. We get a much more melancholic side of Gerson, while other tracks like Hammer of Justice show his other traits. Who knew that of all things, Toby would remix Spook Tune from Undertale? God, I love the Jackenstein fight. I know people think it's too hard or unfair, but I find it to be super creative and funny, while also introducing us to the concept of using TP to win battles. You're Taking Too Long is easily one of the funniest jokes from this entire game, and it gets even better when you understand the meta reasons behind it, since this boss fight was most likely made due to all the messages Toby was receiving around how long chapter 3 and 4 were taking. I love how this song starts off really spooky before quickly becoming goofy. That fits Jackenstein so well. I'm also a big fan of all the silly sound effects in the background, like the howling or spooky ghosts. Honestly though, I think the song is overshadowed by You're Taking Too Long and the boss fight itself. This song is great, but it's definitely the least amazing part of this goofy, well-designed, fantastic boss. Friends is used for the big date between Susie and Chris in Hometown at the diner. You can read it another way, but there's no other way to read this, come on. I love the scene a lot, it really hits hard, especially after Susie's little backstory in chapter 3. This is also one of the only fully confirmed real moments of Chris being happy. It's kind of evil to not play this scene out fully. This track is mostly just solo piano work, but that's more than enough. I feel like a fully finished version of this song coming back would absolutely destroy me. Still, this song genuinely makes me kinda tear up. I really hope nothing bad happens between Chris and Susie in the further chapters, but who knows. Piano that may not be played that well plays during one of the best moments for Chris in the whole game. The scene where without the player's control, they play the piano. This is such a perfect payoff for the constant mentions of Chris being good at piano despite not being able to play it. This track is a live recording, which really works in the game since the slight echo adds a lot of great ambience, since the piano room is very open and massive. This song is super simple, but really delivers as an absolute gut punch and perfectly sells how good Chris is at the piano. It's very similar to Friends, but is much more of a solo, which really establishes that this is Chris playing, because the song feels so singular. Like the way this song is structured shows that we have no control over Chris. I don't know if I'm reaching there, but that's what I always got out of this song. 13 AM is placed this early in the OST because it's actually used twice. 13 AM is first used when Susie yells at Rouse. The second time it's used is in the ending for the chapter with the conversation with Rouse when Susie smashes the prophecy. Now that first scene is heartbreaking and amazing, but the second scene, the conversation with Rouse, is my favorite moment in Deltarune so far. It's the real first crack in Rouse's character. It's the best moment in the game and I still stand by it. And I've already talked about it in detail in my original review for Deltarune. 13 AM feels like a proper expansion of 12 AM, but this time it doesn't really feel like ambience. I think 13 AM is a really simple way to show the tragedy of Rouse's endless knowledge. Having this super simple song represent such a complex topic feels like it shouldn't work, but it somehow does. I could just be biased because it's used for two of the best scenes in the whole game, but it fits so well. It's almost S tier, but I can't go that far. Wise words are used several times for the more serious scenes with Gerson, often being used when he's, well, giving wisdom. This is easily his most serious song. The best way to describe it is a much sadder version of Fireplace. Wise words also takes on a much more creepy meaning in the second Sanctuary's version of Gerson's shop. Once Gerson is gone, we get a much more slowed, off-putting version of Wise words, telling the fact that Gerson is now gone. The normal version of Wise words is great. It's super short but gets the point across super well. I really like the impact of the instruments. In Hammer of Justice, we get a much more hyped up remix of this track, but in Wise words, right before it's about to escalate, it ends on a bitter note, which is really effective. Great song all around. One of the most emotional tracks in chapter 4. Hell yeah. Castle Funk is one of the teased Deltarune tracks, and this one definitely stood out the most to everyone when it dropped. I thought it was pretty good when I first heard it, but now hearing it in the game as the third remix of Castletown just felt so good. The sad tone of Empty Town is fully gone now. This track is filled with so much hope and happiness. This just feels incredible. I played on a run without recruits, and hearing My Castletown actually felt sad in comparison to the pure joy of this track. I can't believe I didn't see more in this when it dropped. I wouldn't mind this just becoming the main theme of Castletown in future chapters. I really don't think Toby could make something happier, although something really bad could happen by chapter 5 or 6, I don't know. I don't think the new extensions are anything crazy, but this still adds a lot, though I do find myself often waiting for the good part to start again. Hammer of Justice is used for the secret Gerson boss. I love this fight. It really feels like a proper evolution of the Green Soul, and Gerson's dialogue during this fight is what made me really fall in love with this character. The fact that his line about the field of pink and gold sparked the fandom this much is so good. Gerson is the only secret boss to actually have freedom. Javel was pretty close, but he was still trapped inside a cage. Gerson literally does whatever he wants and isn't even slightly influenced by the Shadow Crystal. Obviously, Hammer of Justice is extremely similar to Spear of Justice from Undertale, with a much heavier focus on Gerson. The song itself comes across less like an intense battle and more of a duel with a true master. Toby takes Gerson's theme and obviously showcases the heroic legendary status he holds. I love how we get wise words in the middle. This track carries a lot of emotion, and while very subtle, the boss fight does too. Honestly, Hammer of Justice kind of foreshadows Gerson's involvement in the ending for chapter 4. We have this sad somber note in the middle of the song before we triumphantly end on an even more exciting theme. I feel like the middle part of this track is meant to reflect Gerson's passing before we get his final inclusion in the chapter, ending the song on a very exciting note. Great song, probably my favorite Gerson track. It's insane that we're only on track 3 of the OST and we've already got an S tier. Chapter 4's OST is just insane. This is better than A Place Called Hometown, and it's not even close. Fight me, I'm right. What's so impressive about this track is that it manages to be super beautiful and welcoming while also being so goofy. Hometown has so much goofy dialogue, and this song manages to fit those scenes perfectly while being an entirely different thing on its own. This is one of the teased Deltarune songs. I really didn't think too much about it when it first came out, which is crazy because this song is actually incredible, and I think I only realized that when actually playing the game. We start off with a super simple piano, and as the song goes on, the piano goes on and on until the instruments from the original Hometown track come back for this insane moment. I get actual goosebumps when I listen to it. The fact this song holds itself back this much, being able to remain this simple while also still conveying so much info and build-up, is actually brilliant. This is an incredible track, and it's crazy I'm saying this, but it's not even one of the best from chapter 4. Probably the craziest payoff in Deltarune so far. After 10 years, we've finally seen the full context for its reigning somewhere else, my favorite scene in Undertale. This is such a tragic moment. While Sans and Toriel are having a good time right now, the music implies that what Sans is talking about in Undertale is right in front of us. He's talking about this night. Really sad stuff. For such a massive moment, Toby knew how to perfectly set this up. I love how after leaving the Dark World, it feels like the rain at the start of the song is just ambience before the piano slowly starts to play in the background. I got chills just off that first note. I really appreciate how this is a much more slowed down, in the moment kind of song. It brings a lot of emotion out of me. What really gets to me though is the fact that the place where it rains ends right where it's raining somewhere else starts to go from sad to happy. Right when the song is about to hit its happy moment, it instantly gets cut off by the rain. It's crazy that after an already dark end for the chapter, Deltarune just keeps punching down. Just absolutely heartbreaking. Jesus Christ, what was Toby on during this chapter? This is the new battle theme for chapter 4, and dare I say this is very easily the best out of all of them. This sweeps Root Buster, I'm sorry. From now on is the perfect combination with Dark Sanctuary, being a more sped up, exciting version. It's hard to decide which is better because while Dark Sanctuary is beautiful and majestic, From Now On takes the same melodies and themes and turns it into an absolute banger. I'd probably still give it to Dark Sanctuary, but this track is still insane. It's way too powerful just for a battle theme. I really can't describe this one, just listen to it. How is Toby this good at making music? I can't believe the chapter 4 OST is this good. Probably my second favorite moment in Deltarune so far. Seeing Gaster straight up break the fourth wall and acknowledge the weight of his Deltarune to come out is genuinely insane stuff. I actually screamed when I first saw this, I can't lie. This beautiful credit music works so well to capture this chapter and also perfectly reveal this scene. I love how the song slowly fades out once Gaster starts talking, and once he drops the My Deltarune line, everything fades out just to the vocals. Chilling. The song itself is also incredible. I'm really glad we got a more climactic remix of Dark Sanctuary because this definitely wouldn't fit the actual area. But here for the end of this absolutely breathtaking chapter, it works as a perfect endpoint, if you ignore the fact that it keeps going after this. Man, I can't believe how good this OST is. Yeah, it's Dark Sanctuary Sanctuary. I feel like it's a controversial opinion not to have this at number 1. That's how praised it is. One of the best moments from the first half of chapter 4 was entering this opening area, climbing the staircase, and hearing the Mizzos sing this beautiful song. Just to reach the end of the staircase and find a save point with the Deltarune above my head. Actual chills. The chapter 4 area is great, it has incredible ambience, and it's all due to how good Dark Sanctuary is. What really elevates this track are the added vocals. It gives around the same impact as having lyrics in a Toby Fox song. This perfectly fits the choir aesthetic chapter 4 goes for, from the instruments used here to the beautiful vocal harmonies. What's insane is that this is probably my least favorite part of chapter 4. I think this area isn't anywhere near as crazy as the rest of what this chapter pulls off, which is crazy because everything here is great. My biggest issue with this track is that it just feels a little too short. I can't imagine what Toby could do with a longer version of this song. The second Sanctuary and third Sanctuary take the same melodies but drop the more choir sounding tone, which is fine for those tracks, but I can absolutely see Dark Sanctuary being my favorite song of the whole game if it was just extended a little more. It's not my favorite, but I can see why people love it so much. The second Sanctuary takes the already beautiful Dark Sanctuary and turns it into a glitchy, messy, chaotic song, and I love it so much. Oh my god. I'm so glad every single Sanctuary song gets their own crazy build up like Cyber Road because they all deserve it. The idea of the second Sanctuary is so cool. The original Dark Road is very philosophical and contains all the info in the prophecy, but Susie's interpretation of the church has all this bizarre lighting with a disjointed track and pianos that explode books. This is a super incredible idea for a Dark Road. I love how the Darkners in the Dark Road see the previous Darkners as ancestors. Just off the bat, the song already feels off with the disjointed semi-alarm sounds. Second Sanctuary uses these semi-alarm sounds and keeps it going throughout the entire song, only throwing on new stuff to complement this one melody. What a cool idea for a song, and it's done so well. I'm such a massive fan of the drums in the back. They really add so much to the chaotic vibes. I also love the ending where the alarm sounding melody fades out into a new melody, but you can still faintly hear the original in the background. The random cutoff at the end also works so well, since 1, it fits with the chaotic tone, but 2, in the actual game it works as a perfect loop, and you barely ever notice. I feel a little bad putting this over Dark Sanctuary, but I'm just a bigger fan of the style. Guardian is used for the Titan fight, easily one of the best bosses in Deltarune so far. It has some really great attacks, some super cool new mechanics, and is also so exciting to defeat. This is easily the best atmosphere a boss fight has in the game. The visuals are so beautiful, along with the music. I love how Guardian takes every other Titan theme and combines it to make this really horrifying beginning. It feels like this thing is literally impossible to beat. However, right after we get this awesome guitar freestyle, the track just explodes into this incredible triumphant tune, which feels so good. We get the same Titan motifs, but in a much more exciting, adrenaline pumping way. I love how this track goes back and forth between being extremely hype and exciting to truly horrifying. It's like a constant back and forth between the heroes and the Titan. I do definitely like the triumphant part more. It has such great build up, and both times it pops up I actually feel like I'm ascending. I love how after this back and forth between horror and excitement, the track has this insane ending where both themes are combined, with this exciting music fighting against what actually sounds like hell. What's crazy here is that in the context of the game and song, the Titan wins here, so the song ends on this super sinister, creepy ending, just like the actual Titan boss fight. Oh my god, what a song. It used to be my favorite in the game, but I think there's another track that is probably Toby's best work to date. If Second Sanctuary is so good, then why isn't there a third one? When chapters 3 and 4 came out, I didn't care too much about Third Sanctuary. When I heard the OST, I just wrote it off as being the same as Second Sanctuary. However, yeah, now it's the best song in the whole game. I can't believe I didn't realize this sooner. This song practically starts out the exact same as Second Sanctuary. We get the same alarm-like melody. However, you can already tell something is off with the added instruments humming in the back. During the first crash of instruments, the main melody instantly begins glitching in and out, and the drums start switching rhythms. This opening feels super off-putting and strange. Off the bat, this already hits the peak of Second Sanctuary's chaos, and this is only in the first 30 seconds. On a first listen, this always weirded me out, and it felt like it was going too far, but I was quickly proven wrong. The main alarm melody disappears, and we start getting new melodies. We get 2 new ones that fade in and out of each other with a constant, intense bass to keep the music connected. After the main alarm melody comes back, we have an even more disjointed and chaotic feeling. Then the track calms down for a bit and starts to play a much more simple tune with the humming becoming more present. What keeps Third Sanctuary held together is the fact that it slows down. The entire song isn't just all chaos, it has its beautiful, peaceful moments. Ironically, this indirectly makes the song even more unpredictable and chaotic. After this break, the song starts building up again with the 3 main melodies going back and forth. This goes for a bit before the buildup is cut off with even more beautiful humming like Dark Sanctuary. Finally, when you think it's gonna end, everything cuts out for a massive explosion. During this moment, everything comes together. The alarm melody starts to freestyle to the point where it's a different melody entirely, the notes begin to change, the drumming gets more frantic, the other 2 main melodies begin combining with the alarm melody. It's so chaotic and sporadic, but it somehow still sounds cohesive and, well, beautiful. After this absolutely insane moment, the song starts to finally slow down and the melodies go away. All that you're left with is the humming. Jesus Christ, this is just the absolute perfect combination of Second Sanctuary and Dark Sanctuary. This doubles as both an absolutely beautiful track and a chaotic banger. It's literally everything I could want at a Toby Fox song, just pure creative freedom. And that's my ranking. The tier list is on screen now. I still have some juice left in me. I can still keep talking about Deltarune. I have another Deltarune video hopefully coming out next month, although I felt a little burnt out writing and I'm starting to lose motivation, so it may not happen, but we'll see. If it does, it might come out a couple months from now though, so I can actually make it good. I do these longer videos at the end of every month, so make sure to subscribe to see whatever I'm doing next. Thanks for watching, and this is an epic outro.